I'd like to tell the story of how my great Uncle Earl life for good forever. Um, I I pay tribute to him almost daily for the things that he was able to teach me. Earl was really Robert Earl Crandall, and he was a younger brother of my grandma Mabel Crandall Green, um, who was I, I don't remember her. I do remember Uncle Earl quite well. He didn't pass away until I was, um, gosh, I must have been married or almost married. So I remember him well. And one day, I I I always liked to ask people about stories that I had in my head or that I'd heard or things I remembered. And so one day I asked my mother, I have this memory that's so clear in my head. Can you tell me what it is? And I said, I remember, and I described the dress I was wearing. Um, I described what my little shoes looked like, and I remember so clearly um, what I was doing. I'll fast forward to say after I told the story to my mom, or my memory anyway, and she said, "Oh my gosh, that's the day you learned to walk." And I was quite surprised. And she said that was exactly it. I remember being just tall enough to have my arm rest on the top of the piano bench, so I was really short. And if it was when I learned to walk, it was just after my first birthday. I remember that the weather was warm outside, um, that Uncle Earl and Aunt Rose were visiting with us, because I remember the front door was open in the house, and so it had to be warm to allow that to be. Uncle Earl had his arm cut off, his right arm cut off in a train accident when he was coupling cars. He wasn't a train conductor like my great grandfather was, but he worked on the trains. And it was in Missoula, I think, where it happened. I'd have to go back and check. But he was just a train backed up as he was trying to properly couple uh, the fastenings from one car to the next, and it just clipped his arm off. So he was without a right arm, and it was cut off um, just above the elbow. And I remember being a child as clearly as anything, and seeing Uncle Earl standing in the front of the doorway. He had a long sleeve shirt on, and it was blue in coloring because that's how, even when I was helping my mother with laundry, they always put bluing in the water to make white shirts or white clothing look whiter if there was a little bluing in the water. It's very light. But I remember seeing Uncle Earl, and he was talking to me, and he was saying, "You can do it, Beverly. You can do it." And I didn't know at that point what he was. I don't remember what he was doing or saying that for. But as I walked, and I remember watching my shoes move as I could balance up with my left arm on the piano bench. And but the problem was that you get to the end of the piano bench, and then I was going to lose my support. And I was very cautious. I didn't want to, because usually and I do remember that often I would just have to plunk down on my behind because I would lose the support. And then I'd get back up and start over again and try to make the walk. And this time, as I got to I should also add here that as I thought about this memory, I realized I had very adult-like thoughts, like I would have now as an adult, and yet I couldn't talk. I didn't speak particularly any more than a 12-month-old would speak. And excuse me. Um, and so I got to the end of the piano bench, and I had a decision to make, and I could hear Uncle Earl's uh, just calling to me and said, "You can do it, Beverly. You can do it." And he kind of leaned over, and I saw his right arm sleeve, I was empty arm sleeve, blowing in the wind behind him. just gently. And he was reaching out with his left hand to me, and he said, "Walk to Uncle Earl. You can do this." And he kept coaxing me, just kindly coaxing me. And I stood there. I must have been thinking about maybe I was going to be brave enough to leave the security of the piano bench. But as I remember thinking very clearly, adult thoughts. The first one I remember is, he thinks I can walk to him. And I don't know how, but I remember that. I do remember that. And he continued to coax me. And then the thing that changed my life forever was his comment to me as I was probably still hesitating and trying to decide about it. And he said, "You can do it. You can do it, Beverly." And the significant thought was this. I said, in my head, I can remember thinking as clearly as I would think as an adult. Well, if he thinks I can do it, I must be able to do it. And I made that decision then. I was going to leave the security of the piano bench with my left arm. And I remember the first 3 steps of walking without any support. I can remember watching my feet, what my shoes looked like, their scuffed little tie-ons, and I remember my dress, and I can remember my first 3 steps walking toward Uncle Earl. And he must have either I walked to him or he caught me if I with his arm if I fell. I don't remember anything after that, but I can remember how amazed my mother was when I told her that memory, and she says, "Beverly, that is exactly how it happened when you learn to walk." I just want to say that Uncle Earl changed my life. I'm so grateful to him because how many times in life after that did I think, wow, if they think I can do it, I must be able to do it. I believed what Uncle Earl told me, and it truly changed the whole outlook of myself on my life. I just wanted to share that.